Welcome everyone to a classic Priest song. This year is the 40th anniversary of the album Point of Entry, which has a song on it. Always loved this song, and I've been kind of working on and off, and finally made myself sit down and finish it out. So here we are. We're in standard tuning, but what I want to let you know, if you play with the recording, it's tuned down just slightly. You might not even notice it, but I did, really listening to the chords and things like that when I'm working it out. And I went 8/10 flat. If that tells you anything, it might be one bar on your tuner. Just give it a sound, let the A ring, and listen to that. But if you play with the recording, again, it's not critical, but it's there. So with that said, I got my notes linked below the video. I go through everything that we're going to show you here. So we're going to start out with, on an A, it's going to be a power chord with 2 chugs on our 5th open string. So we're going to hit the 2nd fret of the 4th and 3rd string. Then we're going to chug 5 more times before we hit the 5th fret. And I'm going to use my middle and ring finger, because I'm going to lift the ring finger up and we'll go to 4 and 5. 4 on the 3rd string, 5 on the 4th string. So we've got 2 chugs on the A to an A. Then we got 5 chugs before we hit the C on the 5th fret. And then we're going to hit 1 chug and then 4, 5. All right? I know. And then 2 chugs before we go 4, 5 and slide up to 7. So hang with me on this, I'll go slow. So the second half of the measure, what we're going to do is we're going to chug twice before we're hitting another A power chord, then 4 times before we go to the C at the 5th fret. And then we're going to go 4 on the 3rd string to 5 on the 3rd string and back to 4 while holding 5 on the 4th, and kind of slide off of that. It's just a... They let the strings ring there. There's a little bit difference in this second half of the measure. So we have this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Then we're back into the second measure, which is exactly the same. This is the intro, and it's exactly the same as what we played. And then we're into the verse. So that's the intro. You'll get it once you play with it. It's really not too difficult. Not to take away from it, it's well constructed. I can see where Def Leppard got some of their stuff, and we'll go into the verse next. So for the verse, what we're going to do is A to C to G to A, then to F, back to G, and then A. All right, with that said, there's a little nuance that Judas Priest does, and it's a real heavy metal thing that really makes this pop, is you're hitting the open string before you strike the chord. So they've got that little chuck just before it. Now they emphasize it when they go to the F by hitting the 3rd fret of the 6th string. It's almost sounded, it's just right there, it's kind of a ghost note. And then it repeats. So those two things repeated is one verse, and then we're into the chorus. The chorus out, there's a small, I'll call it a tag. The E chord really leads you into the chorus. So we'll have this. Alright, so that's the first quarter measure of it. Basically our E leads us into it. Then we're going to do a D power chord, so just leave the first string out of it. Play the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. Alright, and there's no chukkas here. These are straight chords. Then to A twice. Then we're going to go D, A, and then E. Back to our D, A, A. A muted 5th string to a C, muted 6th string to a G. And then we're back into the intro. They reprise it, okay? And it goes, it goes through twice there, so. Alright, after the intro's reprised, we're into the 2nd verse and a 2nd chorus, exactly what we know. The intro will be reprised again, but it's a little bit different, but it's only played for one measure. So after we do that, then we're going into the interlude, which will take us up to the solo rhythm. Alright, we'll cover that next. So the interlude, after that short intro that was reprised again, is B to D to A power chords. And they'll do that 4 times. Alright, so that last G is taking us into the solo rhythm. Alright. We'll go over the solo rhythm before we go over the solo next, and actually then the last chorus out, well, we've got another verse, but we already know how to play that. There is a little short guitar solo, but it's basically the intro to the lead. And that's during verse 3, then we got chorus 3, which takes us out, and then we'll go over the solos. Alright, I'm going to play the whole solo rhythm and then we'll go over it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we're doing there, we're hitting our 6th string deadened to our G power chord, A string deadened to an A power chord, and then A string deadened to a B power chord, sorry. Alright, second time he does that, he's going to hit that B one extra time. So we have this. Then you're going to hit an A muted, go to the 7th fret on the 4th and 3rd string, back to 6th fret on the 3rd string, 7th fret on the 4th string. All right, so we have this. And then we come right back up after another muted A, and then we go 6 back to 7 on the 3rd, and slide both of them up to 9. Alright, so what we have so far with that 6 and 7s are, we're going to come into it with a muted A, then we come back 2 muted 5th strings again, and then a B, come back to that D on the 7th fret, 7, 6, 7, 6 on the 3rd. And then they slide back into the verse. Alright, so after the 3rd verse, we're into the 3rd chorus, which takes us out of the song. They're basically going to go through the chorus for a full measure and a half, and then they'll start ending it with the C and G, and then kind of a take on the intro. It's just how they're ending the song. So we're going to do our typical E tag, and then start it with D to A twice. Alright, that'll repeat. We'll repeat it one more time for the half measure. Alright, after the E, we're going to go to our C and then G with the muted leading string. And then we go to an A. And end on the A power chord. Alright, so what we're doing after the A is a chug, and then we hit the C, back to C minor we'll call it, alright, and then we hit a chug, so we have this. Hold on that D, and then just end on an A. Alright, so that's the outro chorus. So the first solo, I've looked at tabs. I always research my lessons, and watching Judas Priest live with Glenn and KK, it was pretty obvious they were up at the higher registry. The notes were right, but basically they're playing a little bit higher, giving that harmony some oomph. So from what I gleaned from Glenn Tipton's solo, we'll have this. I'm going to stop right there, because that, along with KK's first part, which I'll show you, of the solo, is heard right in the middle of the 3rd verse. They do that exact same harmony, but just stop there. So with the lead, he goes to that first section and then comes into this. Slide into 16 on the 3rd string, hit 17 on the 2nd to 15 with some vibrato, and then hit 17 with a bend and release and vibrato. Alright, I'll just show you that so far. Alright, at that point we're going to take off again, hit 17, bend and release, and then back, that's on the 2nd string, back to 17 on the 15 and 17, and then 17 again bent. And he holds that bend with some vibrato. Alright, so we have this so far. Alright, we're the second time he's bending it up and down purposefully. Alright, so it starts out the same. Then we're going to give our 17 on the 2nd string, bend and release and some vibrato, and do that again. right to 15, 17. And then we're going to hit 17 bent, and then unbend it and hit 17 bent 4 times. Alright, so the second half of the solo will start out very similar. Alright, so we're going right back to that 15 to 17. But then when we hit 17, we're going to do 4, maybe 6 bends without hitting it. So it's kind of like a bend release, bend release, bend release. Okay, so Glenn's solo, we'll do this slowed down so you can see the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's Glenn's solo. Remember, the first half is in the 3rd measure of that solo. We'll go over KK's next. So KK's solo. So what we're doing there is sliding into the 15th fret on the 2nd string. We'll hit 17 on the 1st fret to 14. Then we're going to hit 17 bent up and released, then 17 bent up and released, and then 14, 17, hit 17 again with bend and hold. So all together. We're going to repeat the exact same thing. Again, that first half right there is in the 3rd verse. Now the second half, all he does different, instead of holding that 17, is he bends it probably 4 to 6 times. I wrote it out as 4. So we got this. Alright, so that's the solo. You got the whole song. I really hope that helps everybody. Play along with the live recordings. They're pretty well on, at least the earlier Judas Priest. I really hope that helps everybody. Enjoy.